as Fernandez, Alduenda, and Giuliano put it, is to reach valid interpretations about how a product is perceived through human senses, by reducing the bias and error that come with using human beings as instruments of evaluation. In other words, the industry is codifying the wondrous experience of drinking coffee and substantiating it with science. The handbook, published in 2021 by the Specialty Coffee Association, SCA, is a product of this collaboration, as are other industry standard resources, such as the World Coffee Research Sensory Lexicon and Coffee Taster's Flavor Wheel, both of which revolve around sensory attributes, the words we use to describe the sensation of tasting coffee. A more consumer-oriented term is flavor notes. Ah, flavor notes. I'm sure you've seen them in the craft coffee shops you frequent and on the bags of coffee you buy. Chocolate, walnut, strawberry. They hope to describe the indelible flavor experience we're often chasing in our high-quality brews, and they frequently play into our purchasing decisions. That being said, I'm fairly certain that you, coffee lover, have been at times misled by flavor notes, if not disappointed, if not utterly betrayed. Perhaps you've given up on them completely. Perhaps, already understanding coffee's fickleness, you dismissed them from the start. Many of you have read the words toasted marshmallow and thought that sounded swell, only to taste none of it in your cup. Perhaps your first reaction was to blame yourself. You wouldn't be the first person. Your palate simply isn't refined enough, you thought. Or you or the barista brewed the coffee poorly. Has a flavor note ever tarnished your experience of enjoying coffee by not delivering on its promise? Are we doomed to quest for the sublime without the benefit of reliable signposts? If all of this research has been done to codify the experience of drinking high-quality coffee, why is it so dang hard to spell it out on the packaging? I've become convinced that what we've got here is failure to communicate. Yes, I'm quoting Captain from Stuart Rosenberg's 1967 film Cool Hand Luke. Yes, the industry has done an immense amount of work to understand coffee's sensory science and train professionals to evaluate and recognize high-quality coffee. The Coffee Sensory and Cupping Handbook's primary goal is to help sensory scientists and professional coffee tasters communicate effectively among themselves. The Sensory Lexicon, which includes both sensory references and vocabulary, standardizes coffee's professional trade language. However, I'm not so sure this information is trickling down to us, coffee consumers who appreciate the high quality the industry peddles, in a way that helps us purchase and appreciate coffee to the fullest extent possible. Too much of the time, all we get are flavor notes, the crumbs of sensory science, or other scraps of information that don't quite have enough context to make sense. I wish more of the industry would use the lexicon and flavor wheel to educate and communicate with consumers, which would strengthen our appreciation of the product, invite us to explore the diversity coffee offers, and help us make purchasing decisions. In reality, standardized consumer education and communication currently aren't happening in any consistent, widespread way. Casually, I have observed a couple of possible reasons for this. First, while the aforementioned tools do seem to be used widely by scientists, producers, green buyers, quality assessors, and roasters, many baristas, the faces, and thus mouthpieces of craft coffee for most consumers, do not receive sensory training or even customer service training, so they don't know the standardized language. U.S. baristas, like many in the food service industry, are often underpaid and undersupported for the services they perform already. So this is understandable in that regard.